Greetings, wayward souls. The house had stood empty for years, on the market, with no interest. Ask yourself why. Lock your doors and stay out of the attic. A 2-story colonial on Maple Ash Lane, its shutters slightly warped, its porch sagging like a tired mouth. The neighbours didn't speak of it. Children crossed the street to avoid it. But for Daniel and Clara, it was perfect. Cheap, secluded, and full of character, full of potential. A college professor and a preschool teacher looking for new beginnings. The fall had hit heavily. Leaves were dying. The air smelled of wood smoke and autumnal soil. Inside, the house was colder than it should have been. The floorboards creaked beneath them. On their second evening, Clara found the attic door. It was hidden behind a false panel in a linen closet. Narrow stairs leading up into dust and dark. Daniel followed, flashlight in hand. The attic was empty except for an old mirror, some boxes of old clothes, and a heavy wooden chest. It sat in the far corner, chained and padlocked, wrapped in a cloth that looked older than the house itself. Symbols stitched into the fabric, circles within circles, eyes, and upside-down 5-point stars. Daniel reached out and touched it, and the cloth seemed warmer than anything else up there. He decided to cut the chain with bolt cutters, and the padlock clattered to the floor, echoing louder than it should have in the attic stillness. Clara knelt beside the chest, fingers trembling, as she peeled back the cloth. It wasn't a fabric she'd felt before. It was more like hide, tanned, stitched, and marked with symbols older than the language. Inside lay the board, the kind sold in toy stores. This one was carved from black wood, its letters scorched into the surface. The planchette was bone, human by the look of it, polished smooth, with a crack down the centre like a split fingernail. Clara reached out and touched it instinctively. The attic lights flickered. Daniel laughed nervously. It's just the old wiring. But the air had changed. It felt thicker, heavy with a scent of iron and mildew. On the other side of the board, a phrase had been carved in Latin. Non vocabis nisi paratum es. Do not call unless you are ready. They didn't know what it meant, they didn't care. They placed the board between them, and the planchette twitched. Daniel and Clara sat cross-legged before the board, the bone planchette resting between them. The air had grown colder, and the bulb above them flickered, and then dimmed to a dull orange glow. They placed their fingers on the planchette, and Clara whispered, "Is anyone here?" Nothing. No movement at all. Daniel smirked. "Yes, it's broken." Then the planchette moved. Slowly, but deliberately. Slid its way to yes. Clara gasped and Daniel snatched his hand away. "You moved it." It didn't. The planchette twitched again. And then it began to spell. M-O-R-I-E-R-I-S. Clara's breath caught. What does that mean? Daniel stared. Latin. It means to die. The cloth they'd unwrapped began to twitch. The symbols stitched into the hide glowed faintly, pulsing with heat. Then a voice came, low, wet and ancient. Vocatus sum ex tenebris venio. I have been called. When I come from the darkness, repeated Daniel. The planchette spun violently, carving gouges into the board. The light bulb burst, shattering overhead. Shadows spilled across the walls, thick and fast. Clara screamed. Daniel tried to run, but the attic door slammed shut. The cloth rose into the air, twisting, folding, reshaping itself into a face. Mouth sewn shut, eyes bleeding black. And then the voice spoke again. Non vocabis nisi paratum es. Daniel translated. You should not have called unless you were ready. Blood began to drip from the ceiling. The planchette cracked in two and the board began to hum. The walls pulsed. The ceiling bled and the Ouija board lay in the centre of the room, its letters glowing faintly beneath a thin sheen of blood. Daniel was on his knees, eyes wide, mouth slack. His skin had begun to blister, symbols rising like welts across his chest and arms. Clara screamed, trying to drag him away, but the hide, the cloth, wrapped around her wrist, tightening like a noose. Her vision blurred, and the voice returned. Vocatus sum ex tenebris venio. I have been called. I come from the darkness, spoke Daniel. The attic lights flickered and one of the boxes burst open, paper strewn into the air, fluttering violently until one stopped, marked with letters. Z-O. Z-O. The letters burned into the paper, black smoke rising from the ink. Clara gasped. So. Daniel convulsed, mouth open. The voice that came out of him wasn't his. So sum mendacium loco mentum frango. I am Zorro. I speak lies. I break minds. The symbols on his skin began to move, writhing like worms, reshaping into a sigil. A vertical eye split by a jagged line, flanked by crescent moons, and a mouth with teeth. Clara backed away. The cloth lifted into the air, folding once again into a face. Zozo's face. Daniel rose to his feet, but he wasn't Daniel anymore. The walls had split, revealing a pulsing flesh beneath them. The Ouija board lay at the centre, cracked and steaming, letters rearranged into a spiral, and the cracked planchette hovered above it, spinning slowly, dripping with black fluid. Daniel was gone, but what stood in his place wore his skin. The symbols carved into his chest, glowing faintly, pulsing with every breath. Clara crawled backwards, blood trailing from her palms. Her voice was hoarse, her mind fraying. She whispered his name. Daniel. The thing smiled. Zozo sum, ego sum mors. I am Zozo. I am death. The cloth rose again, hovering above the board, and then it descended, wrapping itself around Clara's throat. But she didn't scream, she couldn't, and the attic swallowed the sound. The board pulsed once, then silence. By morning, the house on Maple Ash Lane was empty. No bodies, no blood, just the board, wrapped in cloth, chained, padlocked, waiting, and carved into the attic wall beneath the flickering light. Zozo walks when the board is bare. He speaks in lies and poisoned air. He wears your face and steals your name, and leaves behind a mouth of flame. Don't unwrap what others chained. Don't speak aloud what must remain. For once he's called, he will not go, and all you'll hear is Z-O, Z-O. And there the tale ends for now, but the echoes will always remain. If you've enjoyed your stay here in my domain, leave your mark, a review, a whisper, a 5-star sigil. Until next time, wanderers, I've been Fauna Blakewell, and you've been changed forever.